Okay, let's get started with another great presentation. Would like to welcome Jerry. Jerry's been an occasional speaker at the KWSQA events over the years, and we're happy to welcome him back. As with all the other talks, don't forget about providing feedback. The QR code's on the door over there. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Thank you, Gina. Hi, folks. I'm Jerry Penner, Senior Freelance Test Strategist between gigs, and I am in a position where I can now help your awesome team become more awesome. Today we're going to talk about ASD-1, disability, or testing Superpower. At the end of this talk, you'll be able to identify some neurodivergent ASD-1 behavior. You'll have an understanding of how to interact with such individuals in the workplace. If you think you have ASD-1, you will take away an understanding of how to interact with neurotypicals. Managers, this talk will help you manage your ASD-1 reports in a way that makes sense of them and gets the most out of them. So, I've been working in the hardware engineering industry for 8 years, then moved to software. I worked as a software tester, test lead, senior tester, test strategist for 17 more. Company sizes range from 5 to 500 people. Industries include medical records, media company startup, internet advertising, and scientific software. So why am I the best person to speak on this topic? I have ASD-1. I've studied the behavioral traits of ASD-1 individuals, and I understand the differences in the thinking patterns between neurotypical and ASD-1 folks. I'm no health professional, but I can give some things to look for to allow someone to self-diagnose. If you think you have the condition, you can then use that self-diagnosis to seek a professional opinion. And I've used my ASD-1 traits and behaviors to full advantage as a software tester. And I can show you how to do the same thing. ASD-1, or Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 1, previously known as Asperger's. Folks with Asperger's were commonly referred to as Aspies. In broad strokes, someone with ASD-1 is likely to be ridiculously smart and socially awkward. They have a highly developed logical mind and a poorly developed feeling mind or emotional mind. They tend to run on rule sets instead of emotions. They don't instinctively know what to do when presented with a situation that requires compassion or tact. Given a task that requires critical thinking in an emergency, they're all over it. They can act in such a situation without letting emotions get in the way. Worldwide population estimate is 1 per 200. And psychology has shown that men generally prefer working with things, women generally prefer working with people. This explains why software engineering is a male-dominated profession. Given the double skew of ASD-1 showing up in men more than women, and software engineering being a male-dominated profession, it's reasonable to conclude that you are more likely running into a software engineer or tester with ASD-1 than in the general population or in a female-dominated industry like nursing. Given these double skews, there's a great likelihood that you are already working with somebody who has ASD-1. I've always found emotions to be messy and confusing. I don't know how to make small talk. When I talk to somebody, it's not to make someone feel good, it's to convey information. During the pandemic, I thrived from working from home because it forced a limited social interaction. Monthly work birthday parties, painful. Team building exercises, can't I just take a sick day? Last year, I learned that I have ASD-1. After a meltdown with a now previous significant other, she suggested that I may have it. And I looked it up and took an online test. And according to that test, there's a 90% chance that I have it. And there's the test link. The test costs $3 to take, and it's a much faster path to diagnosis than the Canadian medical system. I also found a guy on YouTube called Mark Hutton, and he is a relationship counselor who specializes in relationships between ASD-1 men and neurotypical women. And he has a number of 30-second videos specifically aimed at ASD-1 men on how to interact with neurotypical women. Very useful. Also has a number of videos demonstrating to the neurotypicals why the ASD-1 person is acting the way they are. And while his work is specifically aimed at personal relationships between ASD-1 men and neurotypical women, a lot of what he has to say also applies in the workplace. So how do you identify it? Well, these folks are highly intelligent, Mensa level intelligent, nitpicky and pedantic. If you've got a guy in the office who says, well, technically, it's probably ASD-1. Eye contact in the face, the emotions are carried in the eyes. ASD-1 folks don't look for emotion. We don't know how to process it, so we don't look in the eyes. We look down here in the mouth. But if we're trying hard to read someone, we're going to look them directly in the eyes because we know that's exactly where the information is. And we're going to stare at them, and it's going to be uncomfortable for the other person.
What are you talking about?
Perhaps creepy, even. They'll do the same thing the same way each time. In high school, I was in charge of making my own breakfast and my own lunch. I had the same breakfast every day, with the same bowl, same spoon, for 4 years. I made the same lunch every day, sat in the same spot every day for 4 years. I was listening to a conversation last night at a dinner where people were talking about what they were going to eat or what they had eaten, and they couldn't eat the same thing every single day. Okay, this is a clue. I'm dealing with neurotypicals. Dislikes change. We're all familiar with the Big Bang Theory. Schillinger. Leonard, she's in my spot. Yes, but she's in my spot. We do the same thing every time because it's comfortable. We found something that works. We're going to stick with it. Anxiety. ASD-1 individuals either have an enlarged or overactive amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for the fight or flight response. So, we are always anxious all the time. And what we don't recognize is that everybody else isn't. I am really good at, given incomplete data, I can extrapolate the worst possible scenario for anything. Give me incomplete data, and I will find a couple of scenarios, some what-if scenarios, and I will solve those. And they will spring up a couple of more variants. I'll solve those. Eventually, I will have not just built out a decision tree, I will have built out the whole dang forest. The only way that I can stop this is when I recognize that the solutions that I'm coming up with are now statistically insignificant from zero when it comes to them actually happening. At that point, I can say, okay, it's time to stop, let's go back to the beginning. I have one friend, maybe two. Everyone else in my life is either a workmate or a client. Personal relationships are tough for ASD-1 folks. We appear standoffish, cold, stoic, robotic. We don't instinctively know how to respond to emotions in others. And this can wear on neurotypicals. Object impermanence. You need somebody to put out fires? Give it to your ASD-1 person. They will work on whatever is in front of them. Put something else in front of them, they'll work on that. give us a product to test and allow us to follow that rabbit hole down, we will, and we will find the root cause. When I'm cooking supper, I can tell when supper is done when the smell of smoke comes to me in my computer room. At my parents' house, we don't have a dinner bell. We have a fire alarm. Spelling and layout mistakes. Spelling mistakes jump off the page at me and hit me. And not just regular spelling mistakes. You know those spelling mistakes that pass the spell check because it's the word is spelled properly but it's out of context? Those jump right out at me. UI layout. When all the text boxes have to be lined up just perfect and there's that one that's out by a pixel, I can see that. Sarcastic humor comes off as criticism. ASD-1 folks are often criticized as being too sensitive. We don't get the joke. Conversation. When I talk, it's because I have something to say and it's important. Otherwise, I'm quiet. I'm not the kind of person to make small talk to make somebody else feel good. Quick show of hands. How many people in this room think they know something about some weird specific topic that nobody else in this room does and could present on it for half an hour? Not that I'm going to ask you to. Probably ASD-1. One of my special interests, chainmail clothing. If you want to be bored to tears, come and see me after the talk and I'll talk to you about chainmail clothing. Order and sameness in art. I like the industrial style. Chainmail clothing. My screen background is a dark solid color with a lighter red reticle on it. And for fabric, I like a solid color or repeating pattern. Not a fan of flowers. And when I go clothes shopping, I'll feel the clothes first. Once I find something that feels good, then I'll look at it. Folks who are ASD-1, you can tell by their clothes. Their clothes are comfortable, probably wrinkled, might even wear the same thing more than once in a week. Might wear the same thing every day for a week. Socially awkward. The ASD-1 person will follow a conversation and jump in when they can steer it to their special interest or something that they've got prepared, like a joke. You might find that when the conversation has shifted a couple of topics, the ASD-1 person will try and clumsily shift it back to a topic 2 topics ago so that they can contribute to the conversation. We just think that much slower. Running on rule sets. Back to Sheldon Cooper for a moment. He learned that when someone is feeling sad, the appropriate social thing to do is to offer a hot beverage. He didn't know this implicitly. He had to be told this. But once he had this rule set in place, he can apply it so that it makes him look like he is showing emotion. So, quick poll. How many people in this room think they have ASD-1? Okay, you're in the right place. How many people here think they may work with somebody who has ASD-1? Okay, you are in the right place. So as a tester, hyperfocus. Testers, this is one of your superpowers. You can get folks to leave you, if you can get folks to leave you alone and do what you do, you can follow that rabbit hole right to the root of the problem. Now, how do you get folks to leave you alone? You've got a door on your office, close it, let people know in the calendar what you're doing, turn off your notifications, put on your headphones, whatever. Just let people know what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, and let them know when you'll be back. Formal exploratory testing allows for a block of time between 30 and 90 minutes to work without interruption. This is perfect for ASD-1 testers. Reports. You have the ability to be painfully blunt when it comes to reporting findings. Be aware of that. Do keep the focus on the problem and not the people. Root cause analysis. It's a rabbit hole project under a fancy name, and this again is one of your superpowers. You are top-notch at finding problems with methods and processes and proposing solid solutions instead of the band-aid solution neurotypicals think of. Patterns. Patterns exist everywhere in software. GUI is one obvious place, and you can instinctively know when a pattern is off. Explore that. At one job, I spent my Friday afternoons scanning production logs for trouble. What kind of trouble? I don't know. What I would do is grab a week's worth of logs, show them on screen, zoom out until I couldn't see the words anymore, and just follow the pattern of the lines. When I see there's a break, something that breaks the pattern, I'll zoom in and look at it, and there will be something there to investigate. Calming anxiety. Again, overactive or enlarged amygdala. We are anxious all the time, and given incomplete information, we will go for the worst possible scenario. So, since you believe you have ASD-1, can I pick on you? Okay. What's your name?
Jim.
Jim? I'm Jerry. Jim, you are my tester. You are at your desk. You're doing your thing. I am your boss. Hey, Jim. Can you come see me in my office at the end of the day?
Maybe. What time are you thinking?
Just 5 o'clock. It's the end of the day. Okay. You see a response? Okay, we'll try it one more way. Hey Jim, can you come and see me at the end of the day in my office? Nothing bad. Those 2 words. How'd the second way make you feel?
Like I was being invited as a participant, not being set up for criticism.
Perfect. It's those 2 words, nothing bad. If you think that it could be taken the wrong way, we're probably working on it the wrong way. So calm that, please. Give loads of time to adjust to change. I had a previous significant other who actually timed this. She would give me a great idea, and I would reject it out of hand. 6 months later, I would bring her the exact same idea, and it was the most awesome idea ever, because it took me that long to forget that she'd given me the idea, think about all the possibilities, work it out for myself that yes, this actually will work, and then propose it. So, if you've got something that's coming up, please give your ASD-1 folks as much time as possible to get used to the idea. Allowing for musical preferences. Everybody here is familiar with the Dilbert comic strip? Loud Howard. I worked with Loud Howard, and the only way that I could not focus on him talking about whatever he was doing on the weekend so that I could actually get some work done was to put on headphones and listen to static. I'd put on white noise for an hour. By the time the hour's done, he's done, so great, we can get back to work. ASD-1 folks, tell the truth and believe what they are told. I have the ability to lie that is as proficient as a 2-year-old. So if you ask me a direct question, I will give you a direct answer. It took me a long time to figure out that I don't have to answer a direct question with a direct answer. If you ask an ASD-1 person a question that they know is going to get somebody or them in trouble, they'll do one of two things. They'll freeze, or they will provide a prepared statement. And my prepared statement is, I'm not prepared to discuss that. Recognizing and managing meltdowns. Sometimes they happen. Things to watch for, if they start speaking faster or not speaking at all. If you try and touch them, they pull away. If they're not looking at you, they're looking down, they're about to go off. Best thing you can do is guide them into a quiet space away from people, perhaps dimly lit, and work things out. Again, look at the Mark Hutton videos. He can help you work through a meltdown. ASD-1 folks love rules. Our lives revolve around rules. We build them for ourselves so that we can function in society and appear normal. What don't we love? Stupid rules. In June 2023, Lisa Bodell contributed an article to Forbes magazine on the change or elimination of stupid rules. At AT&T, she asked, if you could eliminate or change any workplace rule that frustrates you or slows down your team's productivity, what would that be and why? The teams came up with 459 rules that they wanted either changed or canceled. Top management, bless their hearts, took action on every single one of them and either eliminated or modified all of them. These anti-complexity measures saved the company $186 million annually. Managers, your ASD-1 folks are painfully aware of the stupid rules that need to be changed or eliminated. Some of these rules may even be beyond their pay grade. This is a good chance. There's a good chance that they're either not following or circumventing those rules in order to, in a sneaky way. So try asking the stupid rule question of your people. Assure them there will be no negative repercussions, and your ASD-1 people will give you the best answers. A couple of my favorites: working from home. During the pandemic, my boss did a little bit of research, looked at the number of storage points completed in the few sprints before and the few sprints after we went home, and found that after we went home, we were 15% more productive. Given that productivity jump, why would anyone want to insist everybody get back into the office? The 9 to 5 mentality. When coming into the office, I was always 5 to 15 minutes late. And in order to ensure that I stayed for the entire workday and gave my employer what they were paying me for, I'd work through my lunch. So they'd end up with a 15 to 25 minute bonus every day. If I had a boss who was standing in the window watching to see who comes in last and wanted to have a talk to me about that, I wouldn't do that. And so they would lose out on that extra productivity. Managers, give your ASD-1 people a chance to make or influence the rules, not just follow them. Your ASD-1 people are a huge resource if you use them correctly. And there's the money shot. If you want, you can take a picture of that. You can contact me later. I'll give you the copy of the slides. So it's my opinion that ASD-1 testers are superheroes. You'll find GUI issues that your auto-check suite can't. They can find those places where two systems meet that just don't quite mesh. They can find holes in rule sets and combinations of rule sets that you didn't know existed. They're excellent at extrapolating incomplete information into potentially ruinous outcomes. Yes, they have quirks. Think of the quirks as design constraints instead of bugs. And once you understand the workarounds, you'll find that your ASD-1 colleagues and direct reports are very powerful tools in making your products, methods, and processes better. Use them wisely. Questions, comments?
I feel enlightened.
Excellent.
Right. I mean, I work with someone who is ASD, yeah, and I knew that, but I can see it now, right? And I can understand why. Yeah. So very enlightened.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'm taking the quiz for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Could you say a couple of things about alexithymia? Not having the words for emotions. Not just not recognizing, but not even able to articulate them.
Alexithymia. I didn't know what that word was, but I know what you're talking about. I saw this wheel available for sale. It's an emotional wheel. So in the center are coarse emotions, and as you get out, finer and finer. And so looking at that, you can take whatever it is you think you're feeling and follow it around the wheel and go out and actually put a name to what it is. I've got a list, 3 lists of emotions on my fridge at home. So when I don't know what it is I'm feeling, I can go and look at it and figure it out.
What is that?
If you go on to Etsy and look up emotional wheel, you'll find it.
I feel like that'd be helpful for anyone.
You can get them as keychains.
Supposing we collaboratively work with a team member who has this issue, should the other team member change themselves to adapt to their age or
The ASD-1 member can't change.
can change?
This is built in.
Okay.
You're working with Data. You're working with Spock. You're working with Sheldon Cooper. So just recognize how it is they work, and then work. Yeah. So they have their superpower. You have yours. Together, you make a fantastic super team.
When you were talking about like group conversations and how you're quiet and then you reach in when you can like relate to the topic.
Yes.
I find like even myself I do that when people are talking about something I have nothing to do, but as soon as they like bring up something that like I can relate to or like an experience that I've had that kind of follows along what you're talking about. So I don't know if that's like specific to ASD-1 or
It's a common trait in ASD-1 individuals. If you find it difficult to find a place to jump into a conversation, that is typical of ASD-1. If you are sharing a similar experience to show that you understand what the other person is saying, that can be considered normal discourse.
Okay.
I think that wraps it up.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
very
much,
much.
folks.